And as a way of summarising such an interesting afternoon, talking about the jaw and the unwitting tension that can arise and give quite a lot of discomfort. We talked about the relationship between if things are tightly grabbing with the hands, that can relay to the jaw. We talked about the structure of the jaw with our little helter-skelter riders when the jaw is closed and there's a little mat, if you like, a little disc that sits up at the top there. And then when the jaw opens slightly, just a little bit, the top of the jaw is still located in the first notch, but the little disc is getting ready to go for a ride down the slope. And then when the jaw opens really wide, the whole of the top of the jaw slides forward, and that's where you can feel there's a little dent in front of your ear when you open the mouth really wide, because this disc helps to slide the whole structure forward a little bit. So this, and that we don't have two moving jaws. It isn't tipping the head back to open the mouth wide. Isn't really a very functional way to perceive the jaw. We talked about that little ponytail. Just a slight lifting of the ponytail and the slight dipping of the nose so that the head is lightly balanced at the top of the spine. Then it's likely that the jaw is soft and freely able to move. Then we spent quite a lot of time exploring the tongue, what a big muscle it is and how it can get very easily pushed against the teeth or the roof of the mouth, but that when it is at rest, it lies softly on the floor of the mouth and resting gently against the back of the lower front teeth. And with the in-breath and the out-breath, it might be an interesting exploration to see what happens if you switch from breathing in through the nose and halfway up to changing that to breathing in through the mouth, and you may notice that there's a little movement of the tongue. I get a little click as the tongue peels itself off the roof of my mouth or brings itself back up in contact with the roof of the mouth. That's a very lovely, restful exploration to do. And then I wanted to connect all that up with more of the whole body, the soft palate. And some of you may already have heard me say this, is like a little cupola, like a tiny little mini dome. High up in the skull, behind the nose. The diaphragm is like a much bigger dome, a sort of cathedral type dome with a little cupola on the top and St. Paul's Cathedral. And then we come to the pelvic floor, which is a similar kind of structure to the soft palate and the diaphragm, in that with the breath there's a little bit of movement. So try and get a little bit more of a whole picture in. As you breathe in, the dome of the diaphragm sits on the pelvic floor, sort of moves in parallel. As you breathe out, the dome rises. In, out. And there's a little bit of movement with the soft palate as well. Those three kind of are like a connected series. And it's likely that if your mouth is tight, your diaphragm may be a little tight, and your pelvic floor may be a little tight. It's very interesting that if you release one, you may get a sense of the others also releasing. And if you're in a nice firm chair, as I am, my little kindergarten wooden chair, I can feel that my pelvic floor is sometimes tighter than it really needs to be. It's really lovely to go, oh, that could just release a little more. And the same with the diaphragm. If you think about a coffee cafetiere and a plunger, as the plunger goes down, there's more room for air in the lungs, or a concertina or something. Oh, it's just a nice way to think about the continuity. That there's that quality of movement that's either like soft chocolate or like the fragrance of gorgeously baking bread, so that the quality of the way you move isn't so much from the exterior will, which is a bit muscular, but it's something that's coming from within your imagination, that's you being moved by your imagination rather than you doing something that you've got to get right. And then, last but not least, if this coming week you find that you're curious about your tongue or your jaw, you're going to celebrate when it shows up in all its quirky behaviours, because it's useful, rather than going, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. It's like, no, great, so that's what you've been getting up to. How interesting. Thank you. Yeah.